Hey there, everybody, and welcome to the Lemon SEO and You channel, brought to you by Lemon and presented to you by me, Z. And in today's video, we're going to be covering how you, as an individual, should look at SEO for your website, how to use SEO for your website, how to effectively target with SEO on your website. And this video is going to rehash a lot of things about our general discussions that we've been doing, but it's also going to be more directed towards you as an individual, somebody who either is starting off their business and wants to, rank locally, somebody who is interested in web dev and is looking at freelancing for clients, somebody who is already owning a business, has a history, has a website, but that has never looked at SEO. This video is going to be for you. Just ignore what's happening in the background. I'm just installing a template website just to give you guys some idea of what it is you should be looking at. But in general, the first and most important thing for you as somebody who's looking at SEO is to look at the intent of your website. Okay? Okay, sorry about that. So, your intent of your website, okay? What is the goal of your website in the end? Is it simply to just put your name out there so people can stumble across you? Is it to be informative? Is it to sell? Is it to build leads? What is the purpose of your website? And that's something that you have to look at very importantly, especially if this website is for personal use or business use. Okay, so there are a multitude of websites out there. There's e-commerce websites, there's informative websites, there are websites specifically built around a single person, portfolio websites for work and development, many things out there. Okay, so first and foremost, what is the intent of your website? Okay, this is going to determine your path with SEO and the kind of keywords that you target. If it's just meant to be a portfolio website, for example, if you're a web developer who wants to put on an online portfolio about your skills, it's really good to have. Um, Basically, what you're going to look at is, okay, I want to make sure the design is clean. I want to make sure that my photos are crisp, that there's animations, that everything loads lovely. You want to look at the technical aspects of your website to the utmost efficiency. There, you're trying to eke out as much design and skill as possible, more than you care about SEO. Okay, for an e-commerce website, you are looking at selling. So maybe SEO is just going to be a supporting aspect to that. Okay, so you're just using this as a secondary sales source outside of your physical location. For example, if you're selling clothes and you're a tailor maybe, and you're making suits and dresses, and you are working from home or you're working from anywhere, really, and you have a physical stall or physical shop that you sell the stuff from, and that's your primary source of income, your e-commerce website doesn't have to be super detailed, okay? Because that's sort of a secondary inlet for customers. SEO here is going to focus on sales. It's going to focus on, um, the website itself, your e-commerce SEO. It's going to focus a lot more on social media marketing. All of these things more than directly on-site SEO. Now, if you're building a website, that's going to be your business. Your website is going to be your primary business. And we're talking about clothing, and I installed a clothing website, right? So if your website like this is going to be primarily for your sales, it's going to be a lot more important for you to have a lot more detail in your SEO. For example, first and foremost, for this, I would expand the content a lot here. I would be putting out so much more content on the main page about us, who we are, styles, commissions, all of these things. I would be putting front and center on the website to make sure that that information will pull people in. For example, if somebody is looking for a red dress, or a tailor, for example, so wedding dress tailor, for example, would be a good keyword. Wedding dress tailor, um, in Chelsea or Manchester or in London. Those are great keywords that you could potentially target that you can use to, build more income for yourself. Okay. So depending on what the intent of your website is, it's super important that you know that before you go in. Okay. If you're somebody that runs a business, that you have a website and you're looking to go into SEO and optimize the entire website, there's several ways of going about it. Okay. So first and foremost, you want to make sure that your website is in good health. Okay. A poor user experience, it doesn't matter how much SEO you do, it's going to affect the user experience. And the user experience is super important when compared to SEO as well, because it allows the user to navigate and go through everything on the website. If I click here, I want an immediate response. If I click here and I want to add it to my cart, I want to add it to my cart. Okay, so this is the kind of things you want to make sure works. For example, if somebody comes to your website and they click here and this pops up, all right, then immediately you've lost a sale because people are going to be like, well, I don't want to deal with this. I'll just go to another website that has something similar. All right. So that's another important part. Make sure your website is optimized for the intent that you want to do it technically as well as in terms of SEO. Okay. The next point we want to cover SEO in terms of your website. If you have a website and you're not going to expand into SEO, things are going to change. All right. There's many ways around certain things, but in the end, your website, the content on it will change. Okay. Unless you want to focus mainly on blogs, but we'll get to that in a moment. For example, your keyword you want to have in your slug, if you can, you want your keyword to be in your H1, you want your keyword to be in your H2, you want your keyword to be in the content. You want it to have a good density that isn't overflowing. You want it to be everywhere that it can be on the page. Okay. You want it to be in the alt title or alt tag of an image on the page. Okay. These are all super important things that you have to keep in mind when optimizing your website. If you don't want to change too much, there are ways around that, but that can affect SEO because that can lead to a poor user experience. If you want to hide content, for example, you can do that. You can do that in the CSS. That's oftentimes called hidden content, ghost blogs. So make sure that if you're doing that, you are aware that it could affect your SEO. Next, you want to ensure that if you don't want to change too much about your main site, that the blog content that you're writing and that you're going through is actually relevant to your website. If you are a women's only clothing brand, you don't want to be talking about men's clothing on your women's only clothing brand unless it's in context for your main audience. Okay. Don't, how should I put this? Don't stifle the growth of your main audience to try and expand out into a secondary audience. Always make sure that the people that are bringing you money are happy, that you're servicing them. For example, if you are doing women's clothing and you do want to speak about men's clothing, for example, because you see, hey, this keyword has a good volume, it's got a low difficulty, it's right in the range, there's a good search potential in my area, then you write a blog from the perspective of a woman buying men's clothing for somebody that they want to buy it for, right? That's how you do that. You make sure that your search intent also matches the keywords there. All right. So the search intent, okay, if somebody says tailor in London, for example, or wedding dress tailor in London, they are obviously wanting to have somebody made or some clothing made for a wedding, okay, a wedding dress specifically. So that keyword intent has to be directed at your website. If I'm searching handmade denim jeans in South Africa, I'm talking about handmade denim jeans in South Africa. So I want to find out where that is. It's a broad range, it's all over South Africa. But somewhere down the line, Google's going to localize that content for me where I currently am at. Okay. So that's how it kind of works. So in general, for the key points, A, make sure that your website is optimized for the intent that you want to optimize, that you actually want it to perform. Okay. Sorry about that. B, make sure that when you're optimizing your SEO content, that you understand that some things about the website's content will change unless you want to focus primarily in on blogs. If you are doing the blogs, you want to make sure that there's a call to action, a CTA, in there with many links to all over your website that brings in the money pages. Okay. If you have a store on your website that brings in the money, you want to get people to that page as often as possible. So there's going to be links all over. If I click shop now, it should take me to the shopping page, right? If I want to find out about men's clothing, I want to click here. I'm going to find men's clothing. I want to find out about women's clothing. I'm going to click here. Accessories, I'm going to click here. Okay. So all of these things are super important to make sure that your customers have good experience and that you retain visitors. Okay. Then, in general, you just have to make sure you're working with people that know what they're doing. Um, from experience, a lot of things can go wrong, and they do go wrong. But also understand that you, as somebody who's coming towards a freelancer or an organization or an agency, you have to understand that these people are professionals and that having a good background knowledge is important. But also understand that these people are trying to do the best by you so long as they're reputable. Okay, here at Perlimin, we try and make sure that our clients have the best experience possible. And in order to do that, sometimes we give them recommendations that they don't like. You also have to understand if you are a developer, if somebody doesn't want to do that, you just have to nod your head and say, okay, here's plan B. All right, make sure that there's always something you can do to ensure your client is happy if you are a developer. If you're just starting out, please go about, look at different websites, look at different styles and all of those things that you enjoy in a website, and then bring that forward to your developer or your agency and say, hey, look, can we do something similar to this? Obviously, we don't want to do a direct duplicate, but can we do something similar? And work with him to build up the project that you really want. Guys, I hope this was informative. I hope this was insightful. I will see you all tomorrow.